Hi, thank you, Caitlin and Regina, for inviting me to be on the call today, talking about some things that are very dear to my heart. And I'm coming to you today from Mendocino County in the heart of Pomo country here. And I have my companion with me. I want to say hi.
Noah Kabushka from Prairie Band Potawatomi Reservation in Kansas.
Yes, so you brought up some points, and I do have a presentation that I'm going to go over and actually hit some of those parts, Caitlin, that you brought up. And I have a paper that is going to be released today that I'll send out to the group later on today. It's just doing the final edits that for publication that also addresses some of these issues. I can't hear you, so I'm assuming you can. So food sovereignty and community resilience, something that that's been near and dear to my heart for many years. Interestingly enough, having grown up in Northern California and having access to our traditional foods was not valued until after I was out of law school into the workforce. And so the way things work that I'm very blessed to be a part of is that now, 15 years out of law school, I'm able to work on traditional foods issues. The traditional foods, I do present a lot to audiences that don't really deal with tribes, that are often have stereotypical views of what tribes are, what we do, what we don't do. And very often we're stuck in the past. So I do a lot of education as I speak to growers, producers, attorneys, government folks, just people from the public. So traditional foods are the foods that sustained us for millennia. And it's not, we were never static. All of us, we traded, we had this beautiful balance of our traditional food. So one of the things that people don't understand today is and I'm not talking about our audience per se, but the idea of our people are from the reservations that we reside on now. It's true, many of us live within our Aboriginal homeland. However, our land were always connected and interconnected with other tribes. And so we had this amazing trade network that went from the mega scale to, as you see on screen, the Dallas-Celilo trade area, which included Northern California. Our goods were traded up in that area, and again throughout Indian country. And so this intertribal trade network, these are like just two, samples of how that trade network spanned Native America. So we have these micro trade networks within, so say this area between, Pomo, eventually up to Yurok, Karuk country, all the way up to Klamath, then from Klamath up to the Dallas-Celilo area, to Yakima, all the way up to Canada. And then inland, our abalone shells, our red abalone shells, have been found in archaeological sites in Wisconsin that are 12,000 years old. Last fall, I went to a site in North Dakota, and of course, what our beautiful Northern California ladies know is our beautiful earrings. There were the same earrings, abalone-shaped earrings, in these archaeological sites of the Mandan and Hidatsa people. So we had this beautiful trade network. Our knowledge was shared, our science was shared, our food was shared, and so we had a complete palette. We had just all the nutrients that we needed, from taking the mussels, our seafood that had the iodine that is so important for brain development, and trading it inland to these other tribes. And here's the California area. So again, the importance of traditional foods, our culture, it's linked to our religion, the health and wellness. And the paper that should be coming out today from First Nations addresses just in this current state of the COVID crisis, how important traditional foods are, how important it is to know where your food comes from, to know, to have clean water quality, to be one with the land, and with the social distancing, just to go and harvest. Right now we have dried seaweed, the berries are out. We had deer meat this morning. So just the importance of the nutrition and the health of our people. And of course, the reciprocity and respect for the natural world. Again, the interconnectedness. I don't know how to emphasize this anymore, just how important land, air, water, culture, resources, sacred sites, our religion is so interconnected to our food. TEK, which is also, one of the terms that's thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean? Just that connection to our landscapes, our worldview, our medicines, the love for our land, and of course our native languages. There's some things, the love for our land that are not able to be interpreted correctly using the English language, that mountain, but the mountain where our people have lived forever, where our people have been buried forever. Like how do you even use, English language to convey the importance and the love for that? So, as a Northern California tribal person, I have up on the right some holdings from cases. So just a few of the cases that I really like and I always use in my writings. A treaty between the United States and an Indian tribe is essentially a contract between two sovereign nations. And in this era of civil unrest, or just the language that's coming out, that's in the news, just to always remind folks that tribes, American Indian, Alaska Native tribes, we were sovereign nations. The United States does not have treaties with groups of people, with races, that we are sovereigns. So it is important that we maintain that connection to the land. So again, sometimes people say, well, what do you want? Do you want to be called Indians or your tribe? Or, it's very complicated. But Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution states that Congress shall have the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with Indian tribes. So the term Indian in this instance is a legal term. And it shows that we are a sovereign. And this is the Commerce Clause that if you read any Indian law books, and it references, this is the Commerce Clause, Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. This is still good law. And this is part of everyday federal Indian law policy. And some of the things that I work on, government to government, what does that look like? Setting up tribal consultations with different federal agencies. I know Caitlin mentioned FERC, Department of Energy, Corps of Engineers. It's just, one of the several different agencies and bureaus that tribes today deal with. So this is, I have, different pictures of different foods. The tubers that Caitlin was talking about, how, our root crops, primarily, which are carbohydrates that come out in the fall, our acorns, our wild onions, our celeries, the things that sustain us right before we get, that help us make it through the winter. And then when we get that spring salmon run with that good, omega fat. This is one of my favorite holdings. It's U.S. versus Winans. It's on the Columbia River. It's a Yakima Warm Springs case. And it says, a treaty between the United States and the Indians is not a grant of rights to the Indians, but a grant of rights from the Indians, a reservation of those not granted. And so again, this is still good law. One of the holdings that I cite when I write. And it's just interesting to turn it on your head. You know, like as children, sometimes we're taught in school that, you know, the United States gave reservations as like a you know, pittance to tribes. And it's not entirely true for many different reasons. And hopefully some of this will spur some discussion after all of us do our presentations. Cultivated foods, again, California, you know, we have many different eco zones, you know, hunting, fishing, but also there was, you know, we had the trade with the cultivated foods, the Three Sisters, corn, beans, and squash. To get to the removal era with the food commodities, I'm sure Megan probably talk about a little bit about the Food for Dipper program. And then the Dawes Act, the assimilation policies of the United States, you know. So federal Indian law sometimes is portrayed as like a domestic violence situation. It's like, I hate you, you know, like removal. You know, taking our children, putting them in boarding school. Then it's like, I love you, which is, okay, well, you know, we were gonna, you know, open up your land for settlement, but, you know, maybe we'll give you the benefit of the doubt and hold it in trust. You know, the era of self-determination from the 70s is theoretically the era that we're still supposed to be in. Self-determination, how we 638 some of our programs from the United States government. This photo below is from Morongo. Just it's one of, you know, the government policies of trying to turn us into farmers, you know, in an arid environment. So tribal sovereignty includes what I know Caitlin in her presentation, she talked about self-determination. You know, under international law, Indigenous people do have a right to life. What does that right mean? It does mean, what do you need as a permanent homeland? You need water, you need clean water, right? There's no guarantee of like housing or what they call secondary rights, but we do need basic rights. So we need the right to have water, to have food, and then just to think about like what that means. So gathering, you know, traditional foods, it means several different things to different people, right? On the left, we have people surf fishing for smelt, you know, for the Pueblo people, gathering their corn, making cornmeal. Our gathering means different things to different people. And then our threats to traditional foods, of course, climate change, globalization, monoculture, water scarcity, and urbanization. And of course, our panelists will probably talk a little bit more about all of those points. And then I talked about self-determination. So these are, you know, for folks wanting to get into federal Indian law or working with their tribes or for their tribes, these are some of the statutes and acts that we work with to try to promote and protect tribal sovereignty, letting different agencies, both probably at the state level and the federal level, that letting them know that Indian people, we do care about our land. We're going to intervene. It might be the headwaters, it might be in another state, but we do have a stake because it's all interconnected. And then tribal businesses, like what does that look like in this day and age? The paper that I'll send around later, I did 4 case studies. One's Yurok, the other one's Karuk, Then I did Yochadihi, which is in the Sacramento Valley, and Palma Reservation. And just looking at, as California Indian people, how different our food sources look and what that means in the current era.